school shooting victims, speaking directly to the gunman during his sentencing hearing. It's very last month.
My past. Wait, are you actually staying with me?
Wow, imagine that. A rational explanation. Can y'all on Zoom hear us?
I would literally.
Is it unmuted? Can you hear us on Zoom?
Yes, we can hear you all.
Okay, perfect.
It's not really.
We're calling this meeting to order.
Yeah.
I would try to.
Okay, everyone, it is 8:02. Can we return to our seats and talk afterwards? I will call this meeting to order currently now.
Stop the steal.
Oh my God.
Okay. President Hall, roll call. Present and voting. Day Vice President Bierman, Evening Vice President Padilla,
Present voting.
Treasurer Smith,
President voting.
Justice Davidson, Associate Justice Young,
Present.
Associate Justice Campo Ayala, present. Representative DeVaco,
Present and voting.
Representative Hufnagel,
Present voting.
Representative Maroon. She's having a car trouble, so she might be able to- Representative Patel. Representative Fuentes, present and voting. Representative West,
Present and voting.
Representative Jed,
Present and voting.
Representative Heinke, present and voting. Representative Hill, present and voting. Representative Hunt,
Present and voting.
Representative Espinola Jimenez, Representative Ostrander, present and voting. Representative Igali, Representative Brenner,
Present and voting.
Representative Sharp, Representative Williams,
President voting.
Representative De Los Santos.
President voting.
Okay, adoption of the minutes. I believe the minutes from last time were sent out.
I will note that there is a small little error. There is listed, when I said that the director of student services resigned, it says Eric Lustig in there. It's actually Eric Levine. Eric Lustig is a professor. Eric Levine was the previous student services. Could have been me, a verbal slip, mess up, but just that's the smallest little caveat.
That's it, not enough.
But other than that, can I get a motion to vote or adopt it?
Motion to
Motion
vote
to
on
that.
minutes.
Second.
All those in favor of adopting the minutes, please raise your hand. Okay, please lower them. All opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm not abstaining, but I was having trouble raising my hand, so sorry if you didn't see it.
Can I just have all those in favor raise your hands one more time? Okay, please lower them. And the vote passes, the vote 15 to 0 to 1.
Okay, officer reports, starting with more. You will therapy, so we were able to take that to the deans just to see if they could expand it a little more, given the feedback and how positive an experience it seems to be for people who use it overall. And so they will be looking to increase it the allotted amount of time that we currently like. You get like 2 or 3 free tokens that you can use for like 2 30-minute sessions. And they're going to try and see if they can up that for students to be able to use like more if they want more. More information to come on that. Internet/my student portal accessibility. I know that there have been a lot of like feelings that the portal is just hard to navigate and get through and like locate necessary and important policies. I also agree. So we were able to take that to the deans, and essentially they're looking into a new system to launch, just like a facelift for the system that they're trying to work on getting out by the end of next semester. That's a tentative schedule. Don't know how much that's going to be set or any like real details behind that, because that's like an administrative thing that they're currently working on, but they are very aware of the challenges that comes with accessibility to internet and my student portal. Professor Dean Carroll has also wanted to note that the student survival kit that was newly created is also posted on the internet and available. So and that in there should be resources or different information or different guides on how to access certain policies like the COVID policy or the attendance policy, et cetera, that you would need on internet. So also in terms of just general complaints about the class structured sizes and how some of the 2 credit classes are not acting as 2 credit classes or might be a little more rigorous or work. So those are concerns for the curriculum committee. 2 credit classes can be up to 3 credit classes if students feel like classes should meet more often throughout the week, but that's really established by how the hours that that each class has, what amount of credits it will have. So if students want more credits for a specific class, they can reach out to the curriculum committee with that information. We have a rep from the curriculum committee sitting right here. Representative Ostrander is also on the curriculum committee. So if you want to take those concerns directly to her or reach out to the committee, that's up to you. But that's who you would go to for that. If you have specific complaints about any class, they can be directed to Dean Carroll or Student Services if it's truly severe. Otherwise, Dean Carroll requests, I want to call him professor so bad because he's not a property professor. Dean Carroll requests that you submit those requests and those concerns or comments at the end of the year evals. So for one else who don't know, at the end of this semester, you'll get an evaluation sent to your email. It's a personalized one for every class that you're taking. Will you be able to submit feedback on your experience with the class and the professor? And so all the concerns, comments should be left there because those are read by administration. Professor Carroll reads them and takes them into consideration or account when going forward with professors. For LRW and the specific concerns about that class, there is a preference, at least with Professor Carroll, with Dean Carroll, that there is full-time faculty. However, the concern and the reason why it's been adjunct lately has been budgetary, really, and just revamping the whole program. There's not necessarily the budget for that, but they are looking into that. And they're looking to make major changes after the bar exam changes. So apparently I think in 2024, the bar exam, there's major changes coming to the bar exam and the way that it's administered and structured. And so that's going to affect the way we learn, or students learn by that point. And so that's when they're looking to do the whole revamp of that. So for rep reports, a clarification, just because we've gotten a couple of questions from all of you on rep reports, they're not binding. Those are simply for organization purposes. It's so that way, like if you have concerns or comments that you all as reps are going to bring up here at the GA, and it requires like an answer or information that we might already have as executive board, or I may be able to like send a quick text or a call to the deans and get the answer for you before the GA meeting, we can do that and it can save time here. It is not binding, as in like if something happens between Friday and today before you're able to come to the meeting, you can absolutely bring it up. You're not like, you don't have to table it to next meeting. You don't have to not say it. You can raise it during your rep report time. Like you don't even have to wait till public comment. You can say, oh, we weren't able to report. It's just for organization purposes and for efficiency purposes. Be flexible. And the last thing I'm going to talk about are your office hours and your GA meeting and the GA meetings. Be here. I know it can be very inconvenient if you're not on campus already to come, but it's an hour, and your office hours will be an hour, and it's voluntary. You signed up for it, and part of being a rep means like you're here to represent the interests of your constituents. You can't do that if you're not present. We're pretty fair, and we have been pretty fair all semester long about granting accommodations and absences or excuse absences when necessary, but you need to reach out directly to me or directly to Chief Justice Davidson, because if not, you're not going to get your excused absence. You shouldn't be reaching out to Pat for a link. You shouldn't be reaching out to like anyone if you can't make your office hours. You should only be reaching out to like see if someone can cover them for you. But if you know like you can't come to the meeting, or you know you won't be here for whatever reason, myself or Ariana directly to get an excuse. If you don't hear from us saying like, yeah, you're excused from this meeting, or yeah, you're excused from your office hours, you are not excused. If you miss an office hour or you miss a meeting, two of them during this semester, you will be removed from your position, because that's just the rule. And we're going to have to start really enforcing that, because there's been a little lax, at least not across the board, but some that we're going to have to enforce that rule. And we don't want to do that. But like I said, it's voluntary. You all signed up for it, and it's part of being a rep. And it can be kind of fun. I know I spent a lot of time in the office. I had a great time in there. Other people to that. So just come be here, talk to your constituents. If you don't have anything or nothing going on with your class, find something. There's a lot going on here at school. Talk to your classmates, talk to your constituents, see what's going on, figure out what their interests are. So that way you have something to do if you come to the meeting. If you're here and you're like, I'm bored, I don't do anything. Like, there's ways to get involved. Let's try it. But other than that, that's all I have to say. I believe I yield my time to evening VP Padilla, because AVP is.
Thanks. Lots of exciting things. Okay. Yes. So we officially done the yearbook committee. It's official. The executive order went out today. And Barbara's here. Introduce yourself. She is the chair of the yearbook committee. We had a meeting last night, and we were brainstorming and delegated some duties, and it's going to be great. Hope you guys want one, because it's going to be very fun and cute.
Barbara, do you want to talk a little bit about like just a few of the exciting ideas that you have?
Yeah, Solana is working with me too. She's probably the best at communications. But what we're thinking is we started looking at like yearbooks to see where to start off, and we're gonna like reach out to folks if you have any ideas. You're welcome to all. We're like also starting from scratch, so we're just trying to like revamp from like what we have seen and what we want to like bring forth to kind of come up year to year. So you guys all like have a toe here. Honestly, we like want it to be like one day when you're like, well, you can send your grandkids here and there's like a picture of you in the library. You can find it like when you get to the year.
That was me in 2022.
Little archive.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Sharp.
Is it like a physical yearbook? I'm sorry, I'm a little behind. It's so cool. Did we used to have them, like back when this was portion of it?
I don't know
Yes.
that deep,
It was
but
recent.
the last time that we found in the library was this.
Yeah. There was also like a commencement magazine that went up until 2020, but I don't know that it was every year either. But it's not the same. It's like it literally is just like a paperback book with the pictures of the graduating seniors and then their graduation day and then like the senior reception, which I don't even know if we still do that, but yeah. So it's like, but it used to be committee and I guess they used to do it every year prior. So
Now bring it back.
yeah,
We're trying to keep
yeah, yeah. So if
It
anybody else
was
wants to
like-
say,
It's gonna be the way what we saw in the library. It's not thick, but it's like a good like 120 pages. So like we're trying to get the best. Yeah. No, finish off. We're trying to get like the best of the year just to do like a good sum up, and then we're gonna try to like set up like a drop offs for like each committee to drop like pictures of their events and everything, so we can like for each committee to get like a page and kind of like, highlight everything that happened throughout like, the school year.
I was just gonna,
No, I'm sorry, I was reading, please.
no, go ahead. I was gonna say like a traditional high school yearbook, is that like you had in mind, like where every like club has a
Yeah.
specific page? Okay. Just
We're trying to figure out portrait wise for like the 2Ls and the 1Ls and what to do for that, or like just do names. But for the 3Ls, we were thinking of doing like high school wise, like everyone gets their picture.
yeah, we could probably make like a dual event. Maybe the school might be pitching a couple of dollars, but you know, an opportunity to get your headshot taken at the beginning of the school year. So if your headshot gets taken, you can pay for that, but also the yearbook committee can take that photo
Yeah.
for the yearbook and it's like a dual purpose. So so maybe we could throw that out to the
Yeah, that's great.
Thomas for money.
Yeah, we've connected, I can speak to that, we have connected with the school because the school does have a photographer that they have like set up and do other things with. So I have reached out to them. I am waiting to hear more back on that. And I'll pass it on. So that's a really great idea on combining it. So for all the reps out there that are on your various committees and in your organization, make sure you're telling them like take pictures because there's gonna be a yearbook and
Yeah.
we're gonna want those pictures. So.
Brandon, do you want to speak about what's on the list?
So we have the sobriety support group going live soon. It should be starting, I believe, in the next 2 weeks, or at least an email going out within the next week. The leader is going to be Hannah Stevens. And so it's sobriety with alcohol and any basic substance use, and it can be, is the range of sobriety, whether it's you're just thinking about being sober, whether it's moderation, full sobriety, whatever. Because some people, not some people, I apologize. Substance use disorder is a real disorder. It deals with your brain, and unfortunately, not everyone can partake in certain substances and be able to manage it and have it not affect their lives, which is not anything negative with them. So we're trying to create a safe space for those people to at least have support within school, because law school is very fucking stressful, and I'll be on the books for the very fucking part. And the only rule for the sober group is you cannot show up drunk, which shouldn't have to say, but you set the bar low and people bring a shovel. So that's where we are with that. On the other note with that, we have a sober and mental health sobriety recovery panel, November 15th. We have like 4 or 5 attorneys who are speaking. We have some people from the Attorney General's office, trial court clerks, the like regular partner law firms. Like, so we have a lot of really great people coming. So it's also a good kind of like side note network thing. But really, they're going to talk about how they've dealt with, you know, mental health recovery and sobriety within the legal field. You know, they've been doing it a while. And also, I'm basically cashing in every favor for every committee or organization I've been in for everyone to sponsor it. So we hope to see you guys there. There'll be light refreshments. It's going to be in the cherry room. So that's really the most important stuff. The other things, like as we get closer to finals, and if you see people, please be gentle with the food pantry. We're kind of trying to figure out what's going on right now. But we will have like 3 days of stuff being there, and then within 3 hours, one whole thing will be gone. So the food pantry, and please like set this out to the rest of your people. The food pantry is for anyone who needs food, whether it be you need food to survive, but if you need, like, if you don't have money for food, or if you just want a snack, it's there for everybody. But we don't want people to be using it as their grocery store, because then that is abusing it and not letting other people use it. And we don't want to do the whole thing like getting a camera, but I also have to make sure that everyone, including evening students, are being fed as well. So if you could just pass it on to make sure it's not getting abused, I would really appreciate it. Because I'm very ACAB, and I'm also very like, where is all my food going? So I'm kind of in a rough place, and it's appreciated. And we will, as we get close to finals, we will be doing, I'm working on making emergency cards, which are cards that will say like the mental health, the suicide hotline, the Trevor Project, things like that for people to have, as well as stress balls. Just please be kind to us and me as we get close to finals, because I'm trying to get all stuff to support everyone. And I myself am still a student taking Siegel's evidence midterm final. So if you have a moment to be kind, just do that.
Sorry, when is this Friday?
November 15th, it should be a Tuesday. 5 to 6. It really likes it. They like to talk.
Cool, thank you. Absolutely. And Paul, you want to talk about elections?
Yeah, absolutely. So I posted in the group earlier today. I don't know if everyone got a chance to read it, but the elections committee is trying to do an event. And as of right now, it's just us, but we are trying to do an event where we are getting, you know, word about committees in general out to the greater student body, because we want as much participation as possible, so the greater student body knows what's going on, what we're trying to do, yada, yada, yada. As of right now, we're having a tentative date of next Thursday from about 1 to 3 maybe. We already reached out to Taylor about a supplemental budget, a non-approved budget. So hopefully we can get something there. And yeah, we would love for any, I know all the reps are part of committees anyway, so we would love for you to come on and join us. Trying to get the cherry room, but it might be more like 301. So yeah, please reach out to me, reach out to the group if you'd like to join.
Is Damien is still looking to get non-SBA members on the committee as like extended members?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another kind of related but separate thing. We want to talk to the bylaws about making a
So we just don't care if I die?
Well, then I'll just shut up. So for something like the elections committee, we'd like to have 3 permanent members that could be appointed by the president, for example, that are not members of the SA or GA, mostly because we want to have tie-breaking votes. So we're not deadlocked. One person. Okay. It was a quote from a show I just watched. I think it was Rings of Power, where they were talking about the 3 rings. But if you watch, you know what I'm talking about. But there's 1 is too much control, 2 creates division, 3 creates balance. So we'd like to, at least for the elections committee, talk to the bylaws committee about changing that in the bylaws, because I know we have to go through the bylaws committee to make changes in the bylaws regarding the elections committee itself. We're also planning a couple of changes to the election handbook, of course, as we go along with it. But main message here is please, we'd love to co-sponsor this event with all the committees if possible. So reach out to me, reach out to the group, love to have as many of you.
Reps, if possible, could you mention if you know people who may be interested in elections, to reach out to them because they are looking for those non-SBA people.
And for your committees as well.
Oh, yeah.
Every committee, we want the greater student body to be involved in it.
If the goal is to get elections, if it's structured like, kind of like the budget committee is structured, where we have those like designated non-positions, that's, I think, a very good idea in terms of spreading the wealth and making sure that we're as connected to the student body as possible, especially if it's talking about elected positions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Next, the athletics committee had their tournament. They had lots of fun. That's all that matters. They had fun. And they are still having
Yes, we
softball.
did win.
We lost all four.
They had fun.
That's why it wasn't mentioned.
So-
It went until the middle of the third game.
It was the halfway through the first game.
They put us 4 back to back.
We need
Oh.
play-by-play.
I could read the email from Anthony.
The point is softball's still going on Saturday. too.
Yeah. We have to
Bill
mention we
had
had
fun.
fun, we know how.
Yeah.
Social affairs had their Halloween party. Turned out good. I think I was on the dance floor. We were Silksonic, so if you missed that, sorry. Next, public service is doing their Warm Hands, Warm Hearts donation drive for the Friends of Boston's Homeless. They're collecting hats, gloves, scarves, lightly used jackets. And if anybody has anything, the donation box is in the lobby, by the elevators, by the door that you come out of for the library, like by the basement steps. And then lastly, the t-shirt pop-up is still in the works. We're still working through some logistics, but I sent out a poll today. We'll send out something. But fill out the poll. I really would like to know what you guys want. What sizes to order. There's a bunch of stuff. And if there's anything on the list that you don't see, anything else on the list that like you want, just email me or fundraising, and we'll look into it. Just trying to cut different vendors and get quotes and stuff. So yeah.
In regards to that, I was curious, would that become more of a permanent thing too?
That I don't know.
Depending on the success of it. Because I know we have like something on Church Street that I've never gone to, but it's kind of out of the way. And I feel like a lot of people would appreciate more of a, I know we have limited space here, so it's
Yeah,
maybe
that's
impractical.
I think there was one at maybe on like the Barnes and Noble at Tufts was originally our store,
That website.
but it's like I think they closed that
Yeah.
one, so we don't count. That's what we're currently
And
doing.
the website that we do have now, we have like 2 items.
Yeah.
exactly. So
Right.
that's why we were gonna try to start up or the pop-up.
Do you think it could be a good like that would work for one through something for a permanent? No, the child. Yes, right. Something
Possibly.
pilot program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think that
know
would be
yet.
cool. A little late for me, but
Oh, this is definitely 100% a pilot program, and like like she said, we're working through the logistics of it, testing out like how much we should order, how fast it's
because I
gonna
know those
Right.
portfolios that career services hands out, I would love to see that on the store.
be. Right now,
I've been
the
trying-
biggest,
I've been trying to go to career services, but apparently I have to make an appointment.
I
did that last year.
That's
Oh, really?
cool. Or they like have the.
Yeah, they're not bad. This is one I got from my undergrad, and it's, I guess, so I want one from here.
the biggest concern right now with the store is that storage. And so it's just with the items, once we get them where we gonna actually store them and put them in front of the store. Once we have that figured out,
And with that, I yield my time to Curtis.
Committee chairs and president and board presidents and treasurers can expect an email from me in the next week or two about funding requests as we hit near the end of the semester.
November zone TPASs are available for pickup right now. And that is all I have to report, so I yield my time to Chief Justice Davis.
I have nothing to report. Okay, so that moves us from reports into rep reports. So we're gonna start with 3Ls.
Riley had something that she said that for a second.
We're gonna come back to the 3Ls. We're gonna go to the 2Ls.
We're gonna talk about trash for a minute. So if you look at the trash can and recycling bin, like right, well, not actually, so I'm sorry, like right by the elevators on this floor, and I don't know where else they might be. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
And
I'm like,
yeah, no.
gotcha, third floor too.
Honestly, all.
So there's like a slot for recycling and a slot for trash, and they both go to the exact same thing. It's like one large bin. We were gonna bring this in to show everybody. We go. Yeah, like
I really don't think you need to do that.
Okay, we were worried. But long story short, that's crazy. Like, it's 70 degrees in November. Like we need to do something. Like if we're gonna advertise like that we're recycling, we should be recycling.
That's a laugh out loud one.
Yeah.
That was a new request. That was a request last year from reps, was that we add more recycling. I think it was only on third floor.
One in the library.
Third floor, and so we asked for more.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, they did add them. I did not look inside to see that they just.
Yeah, it's wild. Like you just look down to throw something out, and you're like, wait, there's no divider. And then you look, and it's the same thing. And it's like, what else is the school doing? You know? So like.
Yes.
That's
Yeah. I threw my thing in the recycling and saw it through the garbage. I was like, oh.
Okay, yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, so.
Okay, fine. Okay, so a student recently came to me about a scholarship appeal process issue. And I know the scope of the SBA, but it kind of speaks to like the larger issues the student body is having. Basically, they lost their merit-based scholarship, and they kept trying to reach out to Finney from June 1st about it. They were told that they were told by a faculty member when they were able to finally get an appointment that they'd be able to appeal it because they were 0.01 off the threshold from their merit scholarship. And so they basically, long story short, they just found out on October 26th that it was denied from the deans. And it basically speaks to a larger issue that students are having with distrust and lack of communication from a lot of departments within the students, especially with something as important as tuition. There was an appeals process to begin with, and a faculty member should have told the student because, I mean, they just found out right before the busiest time of the semester when they could have found out over the summer and been able to find tuition. And it speaks to some of the larger issues we have, especially with regards to LRW, that admin isn't listening to concerns, but those are widespread student concerns that we've had for years now that have real effects on people because 0.01 is such a marginal, it's just such a clear, small little difference that and like programs such as LRW or just like some of those classes that they don't think are really affecting people really do have an effect. And then the fact that it's a law school and there's no appeals process is also another issue that they have because why would you strip someone of their scholarship and not give them a chance to kind of talk about it? And I guess another issue they have with it is that the honors program, there's no threshold. And if we're the honors program, it's a full-time scholarship. They don't have to, they only have to, I think it's a maintain the 2.2. And that's not fair to students who are receiving less money but are held to a higher standard, and yet honors program are giving full rides, but they don't have anything to keep them in, to keep them kind of accountable. Right word. So I guess long story short, something has to be done, and within there's just too much of a disconnect between admin and student body concerns. And it's already impacting people, and it's going to continue to impact people if no one does anything about it. And I think students are getting really tired of like trying to have people in power listen and no one's listening to them.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. It's definitely top of like one of the first things to talk about with the deans. I echo your concerns about the lack of action behind certain things, especially important ones like someone's scholarship and maybe 0.01 off. I can't speak too much to the requirements for different scholarships because I know that's like an overarching thing that's not necessarily set specifically by the deans, but I will, they can get that information to the right people. There should be an appeals process, especially if the student was told that there was an appeals process.
So on top of that, the person kept repeatedly
Requesting, and yeah,
and then they kept not responding, and this was the summer. So that's also the issue is that they were finally told that they were denied, that they had lost a scholarship 2 weeks before the tuition was due, and then they kept trying to find, and they tried to get status on their loans, and then they still wasn't responding either, and has yet to their phone information. So yeah, it's an issue.
yeah, I can see it. The response for our student, and yeah, I know that there has been turnover on the administrative side. There might have been lapses, but there's also been turnover here, and it hasn't been like 3 months where you haven't been able to get an answer. So that's a problem.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, last summer, there was only 2 people working in financially for the summer, and they only worked like 2 days a week. I searched up. I know them personally, and I speak with, but they have been so understanding.
It's just that they also told the students that they were going to hear back from by a certain date, and then they never did, and so they just kind of drug the person around.
You got it.
So I know this has been brought up before and it's kind of course, but versus for classes that are being offered and the times that they're being offered, still a big concern. I know personally I am centered and all of the IB classes are evening classes, which is an issue both for day students and for evening students because we're taking away spots that evening students would have in evening classes because the thing that we were trying to do is not offered during the day. I know that there were complaints last year that they weren't being offered for evening students, but then they flipped all of them to evening instead of like splitting it some day, some evening. So that's just a complaint. I also had a complaint from a student as well about the amount of chairs in classes for like seminar type classes, which I know are tend to be smaller anyway, just because they're more workload on the professor. But that was just a concern of them because there was only like 20 some seats for certain sections of it, specifically criminal law type of stuff. And people are interested in it because it's a super awesome topic, but there's people that are going into criminal like law that aren't gonna be able to get into it because it's so sought after. I think it's almost actually full at this point. And 2 L's, and to the second year night students with part-time haven't even gotten a chance to register yet. So that was just a concern that was brought to me by a couple of different people. I know it's been brought in the past, but I'm just again.
Waiting on it. It's like it's registration week. It's coming. Yeah, because as you said, that's a continual problem that has been with years. With seminar classes, I know that professors do have a lot of say in just the amount of students that they're going to take in. Sometimes it's just a matter of professor like only taking 20 this semester. And if it's a smaller like class that they're teaching, there's only so much that schools can do. The school has been fair about adding sections to like popular classes if they know it. Like for example, with negotiation and mediation, there are a lot more sections than there were last year. So they are taking some of the critiques that we have about this. So if there's like particular classes that you all want to see more of, let me know, and I can get those records to them, and we can see what they can do going forward for like the next time.
And it doesn't solve the evening day issue, but I know that I actually had this problem with the state plan just now. If you talk to the professor, they can usually convince the registrar to open more seats. I know it doesn't solve the whole division between night and day, but in case that is, the professor can usually cajole them into it.
Professors do have a lot of influence. Now, that is not to say go bother the professors and conference. Don't do that either. But yeah, if there's a section you know the professor that you're like, I want to take this class, people are very interested in taking this class, they can make adjustments as need be, even adding sections of a class if necessary. So if there's particular classes that any of you are gonna try to take and get shut out, that you are shut out of already, I know we were looking at it, we just had registration, we're looking at what's left. Yeah, the assortment, the offering of classes is just not particularly great for day or evening students. So,
Are we still on two comments? Okay, I have a couple.
well, you know,
Oh, never mind. Okay, cool.
12. Yield back to Creole.
I don't have anything else other than coach and a 3L student are hosting a veterans event. They're honoring past and or past New England Law grad veterans. And they're looking for some funding. I already talked to about maybe piggybacking off of public service committee. And some third funds there, but an email actually just went out to all the organization heads. So if your org has like $5, $10, you want to just dish out over there, I think they really appreciate it. It's just for refreshments and food. And it's on November 10th from 4 to 5 p.m. It's gonna be really cool. Coach got, I don't know if they're buddies, but he got a veteran that's gonna speak. And it's also a good networking event if you're interested in going to JAG. And any of these events they're mentioned.
For the record, the Veterans Association used to be an organization here, apparently. So if you know of any veterans or any people on campus who have affiliations or ties to the military or interested in that branch of law and want to start an organization here on campus, that's very well something that can be done. If that's all. What else?
Yeah, so I have three things. First, let me pull my notes. Second, so forth. One of my constituents, one of my friends, asked if we could maybe bring up, consider, discuss the possibility of a quiet room. It's like a meditation room or a place where people can go, maybe not do work, but still have kind of a chill moment. Second, this kind of speaks to overall practice for assigning professors, classes, and things like that. My section got 2 new professors this year, where being one else is kind of already hard enough to be new to law school. And while I do like both of our professors, and while we are one of them, both classes are improving as they go. It was a very rough start, and for part of it, it's still pretty rough trying to get them used to teaching and us used to learning at the same time. So obviously, 1L is probably a good place to have new teachers be, but maybe if they could split it up so one section isn't totally under 2 new professors, well, those sections have much more experienced professors, maybe know the material just a little bit better. And also on a similar note, but kind of different, going back to LRW, I wanted to follow up with our conversation from last time, because now we've received our first grades and things have gone a lot worse for a lot of my colleagues. For one class example, for example, everybody in that class, regardless of how they did, got a B+ on this paper, which is 40% of the grade. Another class, they either got A's or they got D's at the professor's discretion. One professor refuses to meet or speak with any student outside of class. That includes via email, that includes via phone, that includes any way that's not in person, and they won't have office hours or be on campus other than when they're in class. Those are really, I think, the 3 that I really heard from the most. A lot of them are just unclear on how they want them to write, how they want them to perform in class. One professor told me that the citations were correct, even though the citations were given to us. That's not my class, that's someone else's class. I got really lucky. Our professor who bought us pizza, but like the vast difference between my professor and a lot of these other professors for LRW is absurd, I guess, would be the correct word. So I know, obviously, this is something that 1Ls have brought up every year, 2Ls, and maybe 3Ls if they're feeling generous. But I do want to reflect it on at least this record that we were worried going into this grade. Now with this grade on our papers, we're even more worried about it. That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you for the specific like instances. Those are very helpful because I was able to take the general concerns that you brought that up, especially the two new faculty. I was able to like bring that as a specific concern, and they consider that very helpful because those are actual adjustments that we can make versus overall critiques of the program. So like with the getting rates back in the A and the Ds, like as stuff like that happens and y'all bring those concerns, make sure to like read those details because I can take those and they can address those and get remedies going for those. As opposed to saying like the whole program needs a revamp, it does, but specifically going forward, those are very specific concerns that can be addressed.
Okay, kind of going off of that, more specifics is that, when she goes, I've heard that one professor refuses to give back their comments for the paper. They got a grade back, but the professor is refusing to see, like, let the students see what the comments are, like the improvements. I know at least for my professor, I've been like marked off on citations that I know are right because I followed all of them. And they said they follow the blue book, even though that's not what we're taught. And then we have also the professors not knowing that the trial of the appellate brief memo was open, so they told their entire class that was closed until 2 weeks later. My class included as well. So it just, that's why I think we're getting more and more upset about the LRW program because we were trying to tell people, we're trying to tell them, and they've not listened for years. And it's to the point where it's kind of like, it's either kind of redo the whole thing because the little improvements that they're trying to make it kind of like Band-Aids to a flood.
To be fair, it was closed originally, and some of the professors got together to ask about it because we weren't given a case that talked about standard review in the way that we were supposed to apply it to appellate brief. So then the professors got together and talked about it. I don't know. So that's why there was.
With the LR program, even though it is a program and things should be standardized, it's still a class that's taught by individual professors and they tweak it to how they choose to tweak it. And yeah, that's something that needs to be looked at. So, I think that was the rest for the 1L route.
Just want to point out that I do like the 2 new professors.
Yeah.
It's just hard, to do that. I think we yield our time.
Alrighty, sounds good. I've got 3 concerns, or not me specifically, but my constituents. The first one is the vending machine. We are evening students, and that thing has been slowly breaking down since the start of the semester. It went with no touch pay, then it was like cash only, then you got to swipe, and now it's just dollar coins. And it is, so it's not working. So, we are evening students. Linda brought up a good point. When we get to school, I mean, it's like, what is it? I don't know. Not a lot of food is left. So, we rely on the vending machines. They work sometimes, sometimes no, they haven't worked, since last week. So that's one thing. The second thing is class availability. Yes, there are a lot of evening not a lot of evening courses, I guess. So, however, a lot of them are at the same time, or part of one class affects the second part. So I just think they need to be more structured in that. And then like the central classes like wills, estates, and trust, not offered in the evening section this time. Now, going forward, I don't know if next semester is going to be, or next year will be the same thing where every class is like on Monday, Wednesday at like 6 to 7:50 or some random time. So, having the essential classes or the strongly recommended classes, I think it should be offered both in the day and the evening. I don't think, it was an unfair request. Last one, I hope not to step on anybody's toes, but the winter formal. It's happening November 10th, Thursday, November 10th from 7 to 10 p.m. The last class gets out at 9:50 on Thursday. So I just think that going forward, when the SBA plans events, social events specifically, that we should take evening students into consideration. I don't think being an evening student should bar you from participating in social events. And so that's number one. So it's, even if we moved it to Friday, which can happen now, but just going forward for future events, the last class on Friday is at 4:55. So just the switch of a day. I know we don't have school because of better. That's just one thing to keep in mind going forward. And then the last thing was the ticket thing. It is a school-wide event, and so I think we should reserve tickets for at least every student to get one ticket. It's ridiculous that you have a +1 event, which accommodates the entire student body. And so since I'm a person that likes to bring solutions, to my problem, I think maybe for our next event, if we are going to have, limited space, we should make sure that every student is guaranteed one ticket and we raffle off, or sign up for your +1. Ridiculous that everyone's going to bring a +1 that maybe doesn't go to the school, maybe does, but people can't get a ticket. It's not really a school-wide event if not everyone can go. So that was the other thing.
Yeah, as to your first concerns, definitely I'll take those to the dean. For the social events, you're not going to have this concern this semester, and I have to echo the same thing, which was events that are set by committees and organizations are set by those committees and those organizations as chairs. Like we, as executive board and as we are not like sitting down and scheduling like events for all the committee social affairs, being that it is like the overarching committee that does like the fun activities. We can put in like general requests, but like the social affairs chairs chose to do the winter event when they did, and they booked the venue on that, and they booked the time and the pricing on that, and they did it for when they picked best. We can put in requests, but we can't like tell them.
Well, then I don't think, no, I'm not trying to get mad at you, Tori, but I really want people that are affected by this. That's not fair. If we're going to have a student-wide event, we should make sure at least that it's student-wide.
But there are other events.
No, I know, but the winter form is special, I mean, we don't typically have this event, and I just think that it's not ridiculous to say that we're a event and host it at a specific venue, that it accommodates the entire student body. Last year, they did it for, the law ball, but that was for COVID reasons, we did limited space for law ball, but everyone had a +1. That's not fair. We should at least guarantee a ticket. I know you guys can't make it, but I just think that, we can bring up to this committee, let's talk about it. And if not, maybe have an evening student as an evening student part of the committee. So, they're not overlooked. So like a lot of times events here get overlooked. Another example is the club fair. Club fair happened from 4 to 6. Class starts at 6, you got to work at 5. Getting over here, I think it was like 3 to 5 actually. It was something weird. It didn't work out with the evening student section, evening student schedule. And it's not fair. How are you supposed to build camaraderie at a school that is just a law school? There's no other things going on. We only have the school. So I think that, we should be as flexible to evening students as possible, and keep them in mind. I feel like we're just, like old pair of shoes on the side.
And I hear you as far as that goes, like, and we are going to try and make an effort to include evening students more. But again, committees set their own schedule. Social affairs is an open committee. If evening students wanted, like all the committees are open committees. No one's barred from joining the committee except for budget. That one has strict requirements. Every other committee, if you want to join it as an evening student, if anyone wants to join and get their input, they absolutely can. Social affairs is looking for people to join and looking for those inputs. They have those meetings and they publicize and they ask advice and ideas and stuff. I know the winter formal is a new idea that they established this year, and that a big factor that goes into the capacity or the caps for these events is just the venue sizes. I hear your concern, and I will definitely put in a request that they have students limited to students first, and then once those tickets run out or are available, they can open it up to guests. So that way we can get more students there as opposed to guests. I agree with that 110%. But as far as like the scheduling around particularly evening students, they set it at like a day where it's as accessible for the most amount of people as possible, because sometimes it's always going to inconvenience someone. For example, with the activity fair, we tried very hard for weeks to get that. I wanted it to be over the course of a day, so that everyone could have time to come in. But with just logistics, we run into all the time with scheduling and booking with the library. Certain times we're not allowed to have it. So I personally tried to get it past 6 p.m. so that way it could be advocated. But sometimes we're going to run into logistics that we just can't do it, or we just can't run into. But we're trying to make as many accommodations as possible. And I recommend that, or I ask that evening students continue to reach out to you so that you can bring those concerns. That's about specific things that y'all want to see happening or done, and we'll make as many logistical accommodations as we possibly can.
Sounds good.
I have something to say on that point. This Thursday, if you want to come, this Thursday, in 306, I know you're an evening student. Yeah, we can maybe try to zoom you in. There's a social affairs committee meeting.
Okay.
I'm sure Matt and Victoria would love to hear everything that you just said, but spoken directly to them. I'll talk to you after.
Oh, that works.
And then also for the accommodations too, a lot of the venues that social affairs is used in the past, like Bellingham, they close at a certain time. So when we try to host events for like the Bellingham event, for example, like they only allowed their private events to go until like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. So when the classes get out at 9:50, it sucks because it's like we have to find venues that are, maybe they'll stay open later for us.
No, that makes sense. I'm just going, last thing I'll be telling, like beating a dead horse. The last class on Friday gets out at 4:55, so we're not worried about scheduling issues. Again, we can speak afterwards. I'm very passionate about this. This happens constantly. And so I want to make sure I respect everyone's time in the meeting. So I'm going to put a pause on this, but I definitely going to talk to the social people. I'll just skip work on Thursday, but we'll go from there.
This is not something you have to put a pause on. This is the GA is like, this is what we're here to discuss.
No,
so
no,
if you
no.
want to talk about it, like it's not a female desk course. If this is a concern that is affecting evening students, you have every right to raise it.
It is. Not everybody, evening student is like, older with lives and kids. There are a lot of people my age surrounding would like to be part of the student body. And so, when events constantly are just, to accommodate the most people, fine, then, we shouldn't be a law school that's open up to evening students. We knew that time and scheduling would be an issue. And so I feel like we should do as much as possible to make sure that as many people, even the change of the day, not know what pricing and all that goes to, but Friday, 4:55 is the last class. That could have accommodated a lot more people than a Thursday, but let's leave it over there.
I am going to start an evening newsletter for events that are in the evening or events that have Zoom options. I've probably been talking about it with people in my evening classes. I've been in evening classes, but I'm not an evening student, so I don't have the same experience as you. But I have noticed and have been talking to them. I want to start a newsletter that way you guys can at least see stuff that there is things like events that you can go to, or possibly have the option to be able to if you are available.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That would be a good idea.
And I will see if you and social affairs really get together and create like almost a survey to send out to evening students. That way we could see if we can get some events scheduled specifically for catering to evening students. That way it's like emphasize that you all are still a part of our community here at.
I yield my time.
So that concludes representative reports and that leads us to old business, which is technically the FBA, the Federal Bar Association Constitution. So there's no representative here for them tonight because I said he didn't have to come, meaning that they come to past two meetings and have given us basically a pretty exhaustive look at what their organization would look like and the events and things that they would do and just the helpful connections and networking that they would bring to our campus. And I personally think this is a good idea. And they did go and make the changes to the Constitution that we did request just some clarifying on jurisdiction and authority. But other than that, I think that this is now ready to vote. So I'm gonna motion a vote on the granting the permanent status of the federal bar.
Sure. All those in favor of granting status, please raise your hand. Please lower them. Those opposed. Any abstentions? Okay, the vote passes with a vote of 16 to 0 to 0.
Congratulations to the Federal Bar Association. Well, that's very exciting news. I know they'll be happy. They've been trying to get that up and running since before school started, so that's great. But that moves us from old business to public comment. Okay. Motion adjourned. Right at 9 o'clock, y'all were.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you about that. I was like, I remember.
I don't know.
And then nothing to do with
Something so really. I think
I got randomly. I swear. I told him over. I told him that.
During the classes
I go from 8:30, like, I can do 4 classes or 9 or whatever.
That's it.
Like, we're gonna have a new thing. You're gonna what?
Are you going to the
Thank you.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye.
Thanks for
No, you can.
Shit, I think we're talking about everything earlier. We're all pleasant to meet. I told you, we're not staying. No.
I'll do it.
How am I doing?